talk about this magazine I'm holding. If you live in Southern Orange County, you go anywhere from South Orange County to the Valley to the Inland Empire, and it's anywhere like a yoga studio or health food store, you've seen Radiance, I hope. And it's at 660 locations. Now what it was a magazine that was around for about 6 or 7 years at 70 locations, really just complementing something called Temple of Light. Then they closed the magazine, and reopened it, and now it's at 660 locations. And it's fun. If you're in this room, chances are, I don't know, 50, 60, 70% of you in the metaphysics, spirituality, which is not a belief system, it's not religion, it's just your relationship with yourself. Okay, mind, body, spirit connection. And that's mostly what this is. So this particular issue that you can find outside for free, the Life is Magical issue, I actually got, and I'm the publisher, I actually got the real magician, metaphysical, to talk about the difference between real magic and fake magic, which is kind of cool. James Von Prague, he was the Ghost Whisperer. That was his TV show based on his life. I got an interview with him. And there's even an article in here. There are, I don't know how many people in this room believe in animal communicators, that they can communicate with them? How many people are kind of into that? Okay, good percentage. I got it proven to me. And they can be on the phone with you and they know what's going on with your pet, and they will shock the heck out of you when they do that to you, okay? So this particular one in here, she writes about pet codependency. Hilarious. Apparently it's a real thing. And so many more articles in there, but this lady on the cover, Crystal Marie Miller, she also happens to be an associate editor of mine, and because she felt called to be a part of the magazine. Her reading of me was so good, that's what I printed instead of her interview. So it's embarrassing for me, but good reading for you all, okay? I did take out the names of some people in my life that might be embarrassed, so I took out those parts, but it was that good. And when you read it, you may just end up calling her to book an appointment. Anyway, I want to share with you, it's out every 2 months. Anywhere, any place generally where people are into self-care and they go, they'll find it. If you go to a place where you go for self-care that's not there, let me know so I can get it. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's an amazing magazine. We have them up by the front, so please pick one up. Okay, so now I would love to introduce our next workshop presenter, Jamie Dubin. Deeply empathetic, intuitive, and compassionate, Jamie is a heart-centered healing arts practitioner who works with breathwork, sound healing, and Reiki to hold healing experiences for others. After stumbling into energy healing ceremonies when she struggled with a chronic illness and PTSD, she realized the potential of finding deep healing within herself rather than outside sources. She has since dedicated her life to sharing this message to others. By holding space with love and understanding, she facilitates a beautiful blend of ancient yogic pranayama breathwork combined with the healing sound vibrations of various instruments that will help you journey into your most divine self for physical, emotional, and spiritual healing. She travels up and down the California coast for one-on-one sessions, studio ceremonies, wellness retreats, and festivals. Her sessions lead to clarity, insight, stress reduction, expanded states of consciousness, and the power to rise to your fullest potential. Please help me welcome Jamie Dubin.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Hi everyone, it's so good to be here. It's really great that everyone is taking this time to be here for yourselves, and it's really beautiful to be around so many like-minded people, and I hope you've had a really good day here at the convention. And I'm really excited to share something that's really been very helpful in my life, and in fact it's been very life-changing. And as you can see, which I'm not sure if anyone's ever seen this before, it's sound healing and breath work and how it relates to mindfulness. So I'm curious, how many people here meditate, have like a daily meditation practice? Beautiful. And how many people here struggle with meditation or have struggled with meditation. All right, so I think a lot of the people that said they meditate, like we've had that experience, right? Like we can sometimes think that we're doing it wrong or have self-doubt. Anyone never have self-doubt? Okay, beautiful. On the same page. So I'd love to share about mindfulness, breath work, sound healing, and how you can weave it all together. So I'm going to dissect each of those and even do a few meditations and talk about how sound healing and breath work can help boost your mindfulness practice. So this is really good if you're meditating or feel stuck or if you've dreaded meditation like I have sometimes. So my journey first began probably around 11 years ago. I knew meditation was good for me, or good for people, and I really had a science-based mind and was always interested in spirituality. So I tried to meditate, and of course the monkey mind would go, and I would have the running thoughts, and I would be like, well, I'm doing it wrong because I'm having thoughts all the time, and that's not meditating. And I just had a lot of trouble keeping my mind still and centered. And now I realize what was missing. One of the things is I didn't have a good connection with my anchor, and I just would kind of lock myself in a room and meditate silently with very little guidance. And I didn't know there were so many different options for meditation and that we could have so much flexibility in the way that we meditate. I thought there was one way to do it. You need to be silent and still and monk-like, or else you're doing it wrong. So about 3 years ago, I had a really profound experience in Venice Beach, and I was having a lot of issues with Lyme disease, so I was pretty sick and had a lot of physical and psychological symptoms. And someone invited me to a breathwork and sound healing ceremony, and I went there. I never had any idea all of the doors that it would open for me, just this hour and a half in Venice Beach. So when I did this, I felt like I really could get a taste of mindfulness and of presence. I was able to connect with sound in a way that I never had connected before. There was something really soothing about the sound bowls that I could bring my attention to, my present awareness, and I could keep coming back, and I was like, oh, that's what they're talking about. And then there was the breath added with that. So I was doing the breath work, and I had this really nurturing environment with the sound bowls. And I think that's something that's missing a lot of times in meditation. At least that was my experience, is I didn't learn to have self-compassion with the meditation. So it can be pretty hard with meditation to sit with yourself if you don't have a lot of compassion for yourself. You're like, why do I want to be here? Why would I want to be with myself if this is so difficult and this is so hard? So since that really beautiful meditation where I got a lot of clarity and insight, and I was really able to experience the benefits of sound healing, breath work, and mindfulness, I just went crazy trying to create these experiences for myself again and again, because I truly had a taste of meditation and I was so excited about it. And then I really wanted to share it with other people, because I figured I'm probably not the only person that has a lot of self-doubt with their meditation practice. So I really like to reach out to people that, have just found those blockages, and I like to help try to clear that and to try to empower people to clear that themselves. So since then, I've done a lot of trainings and gotten certification in sound healing and breath work. And now I'm in a 2-year mindfulness course with Jack Cornfield and Tara Brock to expand my own mindfulness practice and to be able to teach this in more settings. And so it's created this beautiful environment where I can really see how the sound healing and the breath work tie into mindfulness. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the moment-to-moment awareness of bodily sensations, of the here and now, of our surrounding environment, our inside environment, our thoughts and our feelings, and this is all through a nurturing lens of compassion. And that nurturing lens of compassion is really important to have. And so what is mindfulness good for? Why would we want to be with ourselves when society shows us that we shouldn't? I think we go through a lot of conditioning that we don't want to be with ourselves and stay how we are. We want to drink something or do something or smoke something or buy something to be something different than what we are. And so what's so bad about just staying right here and just being with this moment right here? We go through a lot of trauma and suffering in life, so why would we want to be with that? What good can that do? So there's a saying that some of you might have heard before, you gotta feel it to heal it. And it's really true. Somatically, we do hold emotions in the body and we do hold trauma, and we can hold it throughout our life. We can hold it from when we're a baby until we're older. And it is very important to get to know ourselves. We have a bodily intelligence. Our body is here to help us and to send us messages, and a lot of times it's the last thing that we want to be with. So mindful meditation is about creating spaciousness, because of course there are things that can be really, really hard for us, that sometimes it's really hard to hold that. So meditation and spirituality isn't about bypassing all that stuff, so that's called spiritual bypassing, and something I'm personally not very into. I'm really into working with what's here and expanding our window of tolerance. So that's really important for trauma survivors. So when I'm talking about being with the present moment, there's a little exception with trauma survivors. We have trauma-informed mindfulness, where there are situations that they can be in, and we expand their window of tolerance over time and help to integrate it. So once you help integrate that trauma, you can start to be with yourself more and more. And so people talk about creating spaciousness a lot, and I didn't really fully understand what that meant for a really long time. I think I really got a good dose of it at a Vipassana retreat, which is a silent retreat, what it means to be truly spacious. So a lot of us, because of our survival instincts, have what's called the negativity bias. So when something negative happens to us, that can be 100% our focus. We don't really remember like our beautiful loving friends or beautiful family or the nature or butterflies or the earth or the good times that we've had. It's 100% our focus, this negative incident that happened. And then when you become spacious, it doesn't mean that this negative incident is going away or that you're forgetting about it, but you're able to hold so much more with grace and with ease. So an example of that actually was at my 7-day silent retreat, and I had a wide range of experiences, from orgasmic sort of bliss, like just heavenly bliss, just really beautiful meditation with hummingbirds and just like, oh, this is it. And then really kind of exploring some dark areas of the mind, and you just get it all. Like, I don't know if anyone ever said meditation is easy, but meditating for 16 hours a day is definitely tough. And even starting at 2 minutes a day, it's really hard to be with our mind, and we're not trained to be with our mind. We're not conditioned that way. So to be with our mind is really the ultimate courageous act. So at this retreat, on the last day, I didn't get a lot of sleep for some reason, and because of that, I just did not feel very good. I was feeling pretty sick, and so all I could think about that last day was how sick I felt. Poor me, like I'm in so much pain, I don't feel good. And like that was 100% my focus. And at the end of the silent retreat, thank goodness we talk at some point, so we talk and we share a little bit about our experience, and I'm like, what do I have to talk about when I don't feel good is 100% my focus, and that's all that exists right now. And I was the last person to share out of 40 people, and each one of those shares, with all the beauty and tears and the pain and the sorrow and the joy, and all of it was like so beautifully delicious, and just to be with community. And that's the thing, is we can't do this alone. We are meant to be with community. We are meant to be with Sangha community. And so by the end, a lot of us were in tears, and then I was able to hold not just my pain and suffering and not just theirs, but I was able to hold their joys and their sorrows, and I was able to hold it all. So you're able to become more spacious. So again, this isn't about spiritually bypassing and it's just good vibes all the time, 100%, and I'm never gonna touch these other feelings. It's about being able to hold it all and not letting all of it completely wreck you, but being able to move through it with as much grace and as much ease as possible. So some of the other great things about mindful meditation is it can help us in times of reaction, it can help us focus, and it can really expand our compassion. And that mindfulness definition of being mindful through a warm and comforting and nurturing lens, I really recommend bringing that into a mindfulness practice. And when things get hard, it's okay to bring that element of compassion and loving kindness in. So metta, or loving kindness, is a really great practice to bring into your meditation. So I would love to try this out and drop into a little mindful meditation right now. So I'd like to invite you to start to get comfortable in your seat, perhaps sitting up straight and just making sure you're comfortable. And I invite you to either close the eyes, or if that's not comfortable for you, you can keep the eyes in a soft gaze. Just starting to focus your awareness on the body. Perhaps feeling your heartbeat. Can you feel your heartbeat? What else are you feeling? Can you feel your hands? Are they cool or warm? Is there pressure or vibration? Do you notice your breath? What is the quality of your breath? Do you feel your feet planted to the floor? You might notice some thoughts, and that's completely normal. The mind secretes thoughts, that's what it does. When it does this, we can bring it back to the breath or the sensation of the hands or the feet. And just noticing when a thought comes up. Noticing that, noticing we are not the thought, and coming back to the self, to the breath. aspects of your experience right now. Coming back to the breath, back to the body, feeling any areas of tension, and any areas of the body that feel good. You can start to bring your awareness back whenever you're ready. And coming back to the breath. So being able to find time to be with ourselves is a really courageous act. Again, it's not something society shows us to do. It shows us that we need to be busy all the time, and busyness can actually block creativity. So that was around 2 minutes. Even to just find 2 minutes out of your day, anywhere you can, even if you need to break it up into 30 seconds here and there. Be sneaky about it. Do what you need to do to find that inner peace. And some of you might not have felt inner peace. Some of you might not have gone into a land of bliss and butterflies right away. It's completely normal. I think with pictures on social media and sort of the hype around meditation, we have that idea. We see people on mountains just like this and like, oh, this is meditation. It feels so good. Meditation is, especially mindful meditation, it's being here. And being here all the time doesn't always feel good, but you can't always run away from that, at least not in healthy ways. It finds ways to come back to you. I think we've all had a little bit of that experience. So I would love to talk about the breath. I did mention the breath a few times in there, so I'd love to talk about the power of breathing and the power of breath work. The breath is probably one of the most underrated parts of us. It is something that is so incredibly powerful, and it's something that shows us that we have so much power over ourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, and it's right here. We don't need to take something or smoke something or watch something. We have that power right here. And so I'd love to talk a little bit about how the breath works and how it gives us these experiences. So a little bit of science behind the breath. Breathing, or the respiratory system, is part of the autonomic nervous system, which means that breathing is happening unconsciously, whether we want to or not. If we try to hold the breath, sure enough, whether we like it or not, we are going to release because our body wants to breathe, our body wants to live. And when it does this unconsciously, it's one of the only unconscious parts of the body that we actually still have conscious control over. Another part of the autonomic nervous system is our blood pressure, heart rate, digestion. We can't just think and say, I'm going to purposely digest right now, or I'm going to fluctuate my circulation right now. But with focusing on the breath, we actually can, and we can actually affect these other bodily systems that are all connected. So it's really unique in that way. So something else that the breath does is that when we breathe in, we activate the sympathetic nervous system, which is energizing. So when we hyperventilate or do that kind of breath work, or we're running, that's giving us energy. We're breathing fast, we're doing a lot of inhales, and we're getting a lot of energy. A lot of us in this modern world need to slow down. And the exhale, that's what that does. That exhale stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest. That lowers our blood pressure, and it reduces the stress hormone cortisol, which can be detrimental to our health. So just knowing those two things, what the inhale can do, that it gives us energy, and what the exhale can do, that it can calm us down, we already have a lot of power, a lot of control over how we can feel, how we react. Some people say when you're in a tough situation or a stressful situation, pause and take 3 deep breaths. And it's so simple, but it is so powerful to pause and take those 3 deep breaths. So I would love to drop into another breath-related meditation. So if you'd like to close the eyes again, become comfortable in the seat, and just starting to really notice where the breath is. Is it in the belly? Is it in the chest? Or perhaps it's leaving the nostrils or creating warmth on the tongue. And what does it feel like when it comes in through the nose or through the mouth? What is the quality? Is it deep or is it shallow? What would it feel like to deepen the breath into the belly and not hold it in the chest? And what would it feel like to exhale as if we're exhaling after a long day, so completely letting it go? Continuing to follow the breath as it travels through the body. Taking one more deep breath and completely letting it go, relaxing the body as you let go. Over the breath, we have a little bit more control over life. Some of you might have felt a little difference just over that past minute. Some of you maybe not. It's a very short meditation. But when you're aware of your breath throughout your day, throughout your life, or even doing breath work for an hour a day to train your mind to continuously think about the breath, it is another courageous act to be able to control our mind. So what are some other benefits of breath work? You can control your nervous system this way. There have been studies with a man named Wim Hof who does a more extreme form of breath work, and it shows that we can stimulate the vagus nerve, stimulating our immune system and overall health. It's really good for chronic health conditions and autoimmune conditions. And as far as the spiritual element in a breathwork ceremony, oftentimes people feel like they're really getting to know themselves, and that there are these blockages that we all have from society, right? And we start to unpeel that like the layer of an onion. And that's something really common that happens in breath work, and it's really beautiful because the breath is ourself, and we're really getting to know ourselves through the breath. The breath can teach us a lot. As far as what the breath can do mentally and psychologically, as some of you might have felt, it really gives us rest and relaxation. And being able to control our stress at any given moment, or to at least name it and be aware of it, is so beautiful and so powerful. Slowing down the breath also slows down life. It's also good to notice if you're holding our breath. A lot of people do that. A lot of times when we have resistance or if we're closed off. And so in breath work and in breathing meditation, we want to become more expansive and expand the breath. Breath work can also bring us into really transcendental states. It can help us focus. It can help us with clarity. A lot of times intentions are set in a breathwork ceremony, and it's like planting a seed to water. And sometimes that blooms and blossoms throughout the ceremony, but sometimes it's just a wish that you're putting there for yourself that you would like to work on, and you get to see how that unfolds. So it's another form of manifestation. The breath is also a very common anchor for meditation. And the anchor is very, very important because it's very normal for our mind to wander. And again, that's where we start to feel like we're not doing something right, is when the mind wanders and we're storytelling and then we're doubting ourselves, and you're supposed to be meditating, and then you almost have a few sides of you and you're like, where did you come from? And it's this whole story. And so when you can come back to the breath, it's something that's fluid and always moving that you can focus on. So the breath can be a really great anchor. And that's where the mindfulness comes in, is that mindfulness is about having that anchor and that nurturing lens to come back to the breath and to come back to what is here. So I'd like to talk about where sound ties into all of this. Sound has been used as a healing modality for thousands of years in the form of chanting and drumming. Aboriginal people used it with didgeridoos, and these Tibetan bowls are thousands of years old. The crystal bowls are definitely a bit more modern. And sound healing, it's a pretty big claim to say that sound is healing. So how does sound heal us? There's a few different ways. When we're living in a chaotic environment, when there's a lot of traffic, flashing lights, which flashing lights and actually everything is frequency and vibration. So flashing lights, honking, when we have the radio turned on and we're not even listening, the TV's turned on and there's yelling, and we think we're not paying attention, but the body and some part of the mind is always paying attention. Have you ever walked into a room full of people and you've gotten a sense of the energy in that room? Has anyone had that experience? I think a lot of us are in tune with that. So the energy in this room is calm and focused. So it helps me to be calm and focused with all of you. If all of you were fighting with one another and throwing your chairs, I probably wouldn't be calm and focused. If you all were, I do sense a lot of joy and curiosity in this room. When you're in a room full of laughter. You might not even know what's funny, but you start to smile and you start to laugh. So there are reasons that we do start to mirror one another. So we start to entrain to our environment. So we can call this entrainment or entrainment theory. And it's the same thing if we set a bunch of pendulums on clocks. They will all start to go together. They will all start to entrain to the same frequency and same vibration. And we all do that with one another. And one of the most powerful ways that we do that is with sound. So when we have the chaotic environment of sounds and the beeping horns and the yelling, you can get this inner tension. And sometimes we don't even know what's wrong or what's the matter, but we feel out of balance, and we're driving home from traffic and we're like, I just don't feel good from being in all that traffic, and we're having our adrenaline and our cortisol starting to release from having all the jarring noises. And so neuroscientists have actually studied what is so healing about sound, and one of the ways it's healing is being able to have a calming and soothing vibration in the ear and in the mind. One of the best ways to do this is to be out in nature. So being in nature every day, something we can sometimes forget about. And sometimes being in a big city, it's hard to be out in nature, or it's snowing and we can't go out right now. So one of the best things to do is to really be mindful about what we're hearing and what we're listening to, and even the words of other people. We really feel that really deeply. The soothing vibrations of sound bowls help bring us to a state of calmness and ease. People don't actually usually see me play the sound bowls, but I wanted to show what two sound bowls do and the simplicity in the sound. If you would like, you could close your eyes, or you can keep them open, whatever you'd like to do right now. But just starting to notice what this is like for you. So just a little bit of soothing sound, harmonic vibration can bring soothing internally and harmony to us internally. How many of us here have been to a sound bath? Oh, beautiful. Now all of you, technically. Very short one. Another way that sound can be really helpful for us is our brain waves. A lot of us are in a beta brainwave state a lot of the time. That's an active problem-solving state. And when we are in that state all the time, it's very exhausting. We have 3 jobs, and we have school, and we have all this stuff to do, so we're in that state. And then we have adrenal fatigue, and we're exhausted and sick, and it perpetuates into a stressful situation. So although that's a helpful state to be in, we don't need to be in that state all the time. Alpha brainwave state is a little bit more relaxed. That is probably the state that we are in right now, or that we started to go into when we were focusing on the sound bowls. It's creative and it is a little more relaxed and focused and relates to concentration. So that's usually the first few minutes of a sound bath. Theta brainwave state, I don't know if anyone's heard of theta healing. It's a very well sought after state. Theta is very meditative. It is a very creative state. We get a lot of insight. We get a lot of vision. So that's really common in sound healing, is to have these dreamlike visions. Delta brainwave state can also happen in a sound bath. If you've been in a sound bath and you heard the snoring and the people sleeping, it's likely because they're in delta brainwave state and they're catching up on their sleep and their restful state. And being in delta is where we start to rejuvenate the body, as when we go to sleep, there's a healing process. We can't live without sleep, and delta is where we start to revitalize ourselves and revitalize ourselves, so we can help put ourselves into this state with the sound bowls. So it's pretty amazing to have so much control over these different brainwave states. I would love to tie everything that we did together, and I first wanted to see if anyone noticed that the sound was their anchor. So when I did this last sound healing, if you noticed your breath and went to the sound, it's really good to have a curious awareness about what's happening to you. So mindful meditation isn't just about receiving and letting be. It is that, but it's also having a curious and a compassionate awareness. It's about asking questions because you get to know yourself. So sound can be a very good anchor, especially when the breath is not a useful anchor for you. The breath might not be a good anchor if you have breathing problems, if you have asthma. It might be triggering to use your breath. It might also be triggering to use your breath if you have certain trauma around the breath or around breathing. And that's why I like to bring so many different anchors in, because nobody said meditation has to be one way. We can bring in different anchors and use what works for us. It's all about being inclusive and trying new things, and what helps us to be in this state and get to know ourselves. I think if I didn't stumble into that breathwork and sound healing ceremony in Venice Beach, I probably would have given up on meditation, and that would have been a shame. But because of the nurturing feel that the sound bowls give, and because of being able to focus on the breath and find other ways to implement and use an anchor, we are able to, again, be courageous and to be with ourselves. And the sound healing and breath work can aid your mindfulness practice, because if you're doing sound healing and breath work and you go back to your mindfulness practice, you're finding a creative way to concentrate and to focus, and then you're bringing that meditation muscle, because when you meditate and you practice, just like anything else, you create a sort of muscle out of it. And then you're able to bring it to your mindfulness practice, and you're able to expand it more and more every time. So that's what I did. Is I'm like, I can't even be with myself for 30 seconds. This is scary. I'm glad no one else is here. And so you start with the 30 seconds or however long it is, and 2 minutes, and do that for a week or a month, 5 minutes, 20, an hour. And then I ended up doing 16 hours a day for a week of meditation and of Vipassana or silent retreat. And that's not to say that the point of meditation is to meditate that much. But it shows that someone that thinks that they can't meditate and can't be with themselves because it's so terrifying, and why would I want to be here, and there's all this trauma and it's not good to be here. It shows that with some creativity and with some guidance and resources and tools that you can start to be with yourself and you can start to befriend yourself. And that's what meditation is. It's befriending yourself and your experience. And so it's really a miracle to see that we really can be with ourselves for longer than we could have ever imagined. So since we've tried everything separately, I would love to try it all together. And I really invite you to notice what you feel, to notice the breath, to notice the sound, to be curious, and again, to remember to extend that compassion. Mindfulness is also bringing a non-judgmental awareness, which is a lot to ask for some of us, especially for ourselves. And if we start to judge ourselves, it's okay. We can notice the judging, and we can say, judging mind, and then, okay, let's bring the compassion in. So really trying to forgive ourselves if we start to go down the storytelling route or start to make up a fantasy. It's okay, and it's what the mind does. So we can start to become comfortable in our seats and close the eyes or soften the gaze. Starting to focus on the sounds. Do the sounds have a certain quality that evokes something within you? And checking in with your body right now. Is there any muscle that you can relax just a little bit deeper? Perhaps breathing into that muscle. Noticing the rise and the fall of the belly. This may be something we don't usually think about, but noticing how the belly has this quality to soften and to contract. And I invite you to do a 2-part breath, breathing in through the nose, and the first breath will be going into the belly, so breathing in and expanding the belly. Breathing and expanding the chest on that second breath. Fully releasing. Releasing as if it's a sigh after a long day. And continuing that breath, noticing how that feels for you. body, falling into some stillness. There are many different ways to find peace, to find relaxation, to befriend ourselves and our experience. There isn't a one-size-fits-all. And life is about curiosity and exploration. So if anybody here has had trouble meditating or with mindfulness or with being still, then don't be still. Practice with the breath. If that feels good for you, we'll always have the breath, and it's really empowering. We'll always have sound. Frequency and vibration is all around us. So these are tools within us that we always have at our disposal to empower ourselves throughout our life. And I hope that you've had an enjoyable experience practicing, and if you ever have any trouble practicing meditation, I invite you to reach out to try as many tools and resources that are available to you to be playful and creative. Wishing you all a really beautiful rest of your night here. Thank you so much for joining me.